So we're going to talk about negative ontology, Eriugena's negative understanding of ousia, that is, of essence, which is inspired by Gregory of Nyssa, who said that no ousia, no essence could be known. Eriugena's approach to realities within natura is through the examination of the constitution of things, the 10 categories of Aristotle. He follows, though, Augustine in that the categories of Aristotle cannot be applied to God, because God's essence, God's whatness, cannot be defined. The mind knows things, yes, they are differentiated and can be defined. If any categories applied to God, God as genius, but God is not a genus, okay? God is not a species. So then, based on Gregory of Nyssa, Eriugena says that the matter is nothing but a composition of accidents. So matter is nothing but a composition of accidents. Its cause is invisible. So we have this contraposition here of invisible causes of visible matter. But the category is attributed metaphorically to God by analogy. So he's going to use the categories, but only metaphorically, not as depicting something that is real about God. So God as cause, for example, is a very obvious one. And the categories provide a source book of cataphatic theology. So there's something that we need to be saying in positive terms about God, so that then we can apply our negative ontology to it to make sense of something of which cannot be made sense and yet is undeniably there for us to see as the most important thing in everything in our lives, actually. So the creature, there's a part that is visible and another one is invisible. The same as with the music. In the music, there's something that is audible, and is someone who doesn't know anything about music might wonder, like, how can orchestras always play in the same piece perfectly without missing any of the notes that this music is? And the reason is because there is an invisible, only visible to the conductor, pattern of understanding how that music should be played, and it's very precise. So within limits of its nature, measure, number, and weight. So whatness is actually a limitation when it comes to define all these realities, and it's limited by where and when. So because God doesn't fit within the frame of time, and God doesn't fit within the frame of space, it is impossible to say what it is. So God is infinite, and God cannot be defined. But God understands He is in none of those things, but recognizes that He is above all the orders of nature by reason of the excellence of His wisdom, and below all things by reason of the depth of His power. He alone is the measure without measure, the number without number, the weight without weight. Logic of this is the logic of negative theology. God, the essence of all, is known from created things. We cannot know what God is, but we must know that God is. That which is truly no thing. So everything has to come from no thing. That is, from something that does not represent or is a thing as such. Yeah. So the substance of all things, reason by which they subsist in the primordial causes in the world. So the substance of all things is the reason by which they subsist in the primordial causes in the world. Negative ontology is the framework for understanding all that can be said of God's self-creative process. All that can be said of the creative manifestation of God must be regulated by the understanding that while God is the essence of all things, God's ousia remains above all things in transcendent unknowability. So blocks of reality as being and non-being. So the whole of reality is going to be then divided by this aspect that we've been talking about. No static final way of interpreting reality. A way of interpreting reality, but not static. Okay, that's it.